Okay, so I'm gonna start a blog on this game I'm gonna build from scratch. Go through the whole process of building a game, even if it's crappy, I'm gonna get it on Steam. And I was gonna start that today, but I've got one more tutorial to figure out how to do, and Maine is not my favorite place to live, and it is 10 degrees. It was 4 when I got my coffee, so I don't feel like going out. I'm going to go ahead and do this tutorial. And this NavMesh walking around AI NPC, so I'm going to go through the whole process from scratch. Okay? So, fingers crossed. Okay, so that's the worst model ever, but this wasn't a modeling tutorial, and this should get to us where we want. So if you go to, first thing you need is Playmaker. Now we're going to need the ecosystem, just in case you don't have the mesh stuff. So if you go to Google and you Playmaker ecosystem, so you Google, go here, and then you're going to download the package. Once you have that package, you're just going to grab it and physically drag it. I guess not physically, but you're going to drag it into the Playmaker folder in your assets folder. And it'll ask you to import and install. Just click those two buttons, and to make sure that that is all installed, if you go to Playmaker, add-ons, you should see ecosystem. And then we're going to go to the ecosystem browser. And I've already got it typed in, pathfinding, kind of ruined the surprise. So, and you're just going to go ahead and install that. I've already got it. So my only option is update, so I don't really need that. And after all that jazz happens, we're going to make sure that that is actually installed by going to actions. So you go to actions and mesh or path. You should see all these options here. Mesh or is path one of them? Yeah, all these agent thingies. That means everything's installed and we're ready to go. Okay, now that we have our world's worst house built, we're gonna go ahead and bake where the NPC can actually walk, right? So we go to Window, AI, Navigation. New tab pops up here, and Object. We're going to select the objects we want this person to interact with. Obviously, we want the floor, and we want all the walls. And we're going to go to our objects, and we're going to select navigation static. All right, and once that is selected, the navigation, the mesh agent thingy, knows what to bake and make kind of like a map of where our characters can interact with and follow. So we're just gonna select the bake tab. And there we go. Now by changing some of these parameters, you can change how steep he or she goes upstairs, how closely the person hugs the walls, which basically means the size of the actual person or safety. If you increase that size to 1, rebake, that means you can't get close. So like trees, you don't want them getting too close to trees. We're going to keep that to, maybe 0.2. I think that matches our door openings. All right, let's go and add our character now. Again, this is the Maximo tutorial that I had earlier. Okay, so we're gonna add a new character. This is where we select a character, select its animation, download it. Don't forget to check that box that says animate in place, because we're going to use a walk cycle. Under assets, I'm going to create two new folders. One called characters, and one called animations. So right now I have my little AJ boy walk in place. I'm going to go to my new characters folder. I'm going to drag little boy into that. If I go to characters, you should see the whole prefab in place. So first thing I want to do is copy the animation that was generated by doing Control D. Take that animation, drag it into the animations folder, and close this prefab. We need something called an animation controller, which is under create animation controller, and I'll explain what that does in a second. We call that boy walk. Whoa. And we double click boy walk, pulls up the animator panel. We don't really need to fool with this a whole bunch right now. We'll go back to our animations folder, drag our copy out, and that should be it for that. So what we have to do is select our dude, add a component, and we have to add the animator controller to it as well. So that is us, and there is no animator attached to it at this time. So we grab our boy walk. Whoa. Grab our boy walk, drag him into here, and that should be fine. Phew, that was awkward. Okay, so now we have our guy. Once he walks just fine, we're gonna add an FSM. And as a test to make sure he actually follows stuff, we're gonna double click the first state, add something called set agent as destination game object. Right now it doesn't have an AI mesh agent. If you click this handy little message, it will add that component to us. We're going to use owner, except for the destination. We're going to drag our new target we created and play. And there he goes. He goes zipping right on over there. And just for fun, let's go ahead and stash it in this little room. See if he does it. Yep, he seems to be working just fine. Okay, let's go ahead and randomize our AI's behavior. Okay, so just to make it easy, we're going to place one of these target cubes in each room and then randomize what room he wants to go to. Okay, so I'm going to just grab this cube, highlight it, target, and then copy it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 4 times. Okay, so now we have all our 5 targets. Let's go ahead and position them. I copied them in place, so they're obviously all in this one position. So that's target 1. If I select target 2, same place, but I can move it. Over here. It's 5 targets. Now let's randomize. So select this guy here. Go to our FSM, we deleted that state thing because now we need to do some logic here. Okay, so our first state, we're gonna call it sleeping, because we're gonna want him to hang out for a bit before he goes off to the next room. And then we're gonna add a state commensurate with sleeping called wait. For debug purposes, we'll keep it 1. That means 1 second. And we're gonna add a new event called pick a room. And then this guy, we're gonna make the tab to jump off to those pick a room things. Pick a room, it's fine. Now we're gonna create all our states for the different rooms. Okay. I'm gonna rename these. They're already. We need something between here and here that randomizes. So we're gonna call this Randomizer. Oh. I'm gonna get some coffee. I'm hitting pause. Okay, so randomizer. I think there is a function for that. Send random event. Awesome. So down here, oh, this tiny monitor sucks. Number of events. This one's awesome to use. We have 5 events, so it's gonna create those. So the event, new event, plain, go to 1, I say, and you just click these, randomizes all these things, and if we weight them, it'll tend to go to that one branch point more than the others. I assume it's like 2 to 1 if you put it 2. Event, go to 2. First things first, let's go ahead and have him walk over to the cubes. So what was that called? It was called set agent as something. Set agent destination as game object. I might as well pronounce it correctly since I'm doing a tutorial. What is this? How do you get rid of this thing? Ugh, how much space it takes on my small monitor. Okay, so the game object is the owner. That's our guy. That's fine. Destination, we are going to, since we're in state 1, it's kind of fun when you know what you're doing. Drag this over. Threshold, I guess that's size. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this for all of them. And that's a thing, you can do that. I love that you can copy. And then we're going to drag our second cube into here. Go to state 3, drag target 3 into it. State 4, drag target 4 in. State 5, we're going to drag the target into that. Now, just given that, let's see if it does it. Is that really state 2? I don't believe it. Hitting play again. Okay, it looks great. Looks like it's working. Now, how do we make it go back? We need a collision onto that cube to fire up the randomizer again. So let's try that. First things first, we need to make sure that all of these cubes have a box collider. And let's assume they all do because I clicked 1. That's good enough. And we're going to make sure our guy has a box collider also. So if we click our character, he does not have a box collider. So we'll add that. Box collider, and make sure it is a trigger. And we're going to make sure that he has a tag called player, so we know we're listening for player. Okay, and these guys, make sure all these cubes are also in the player space. Great. So let's try our first one. And we're gonna do trigger event, use owner. Now here's the trick with this one. If you do on trigger enter and he goes to that cube and he triggers it and the randomizer goes through and it selects the same one, it's not going to fire off again because it's inside of it, right? So there's no triggering the enter state because it's inside. So what I do here is on trigger stay, which means is it inside the cube still, and that's fine. That's what we want. And the player tag and the send event is to, this is just the label for the tab. New event. Randomize. I don't think it's too early. Global transition has not been made. Thank you. Please add the tab. Here it is. Let's go zipping back to here. And that should do it. So let's see if we can copy this thing now. Okay, that didn't work. I forgot I needed to add a component, a rigid body, and that was needed. So you should be able to hit play. Okay, so this is basically done. Pretty much everything I need except for tweaking on the speeds. So hopefully this was handy. I'm gonna add one more thing to this guy. It's closer to the demo I showed earlier. I'm gonna add a new camera, and I'm gonna glue this to our kid. Whoa, I don't know why prefabs complain when you add something like that, the drag and drop versus right clicking and adding a camera that way. I don't know. Anyway, so there's our kid. There's our camera. So if we drag this camera away and up, we can follow him. Let's do something different. Let's do like a Spike Lee type vibe. I'm gonna rotate the camera. E. This is like one of those do the right things. Okay, and let's see what it looks like now. His face, I know it's terrible. I gotta figure out the shaders. But anyway, this is the whole kind of vibe. So you can make your own randomize movie or whatever, but it's kind of cool. And this is the NPC, it's not you, so it kind of adds an interesting idea. What can you do with this thing? I don't know. Okay, hope this helped, and I will see you when I think I have something of value to show. Okay, bye.